Hey everybody, this is Nick from Mecha Warehouse, and I'm back today with weekly update number 21. So yeah, let's get right into it. We usually start these off with week in review, and actually just feels like I just did this. The weeks are flying by. It's crazy. But so anyway, this week in review. Let's start off talking about the live stream Saturday. So Saturday was the 1 year anniversary of the Quarantine Proof Your Backlog ad. We had some extra special giveaways, and the stream was crazy. We had I think around 190 concurrent viewers at peak, which is definitely a record, or at least a record of consistency. We had, I think, consistently around 170 or more watching the stream, which is definitely a record. I think we've peaked out at 300 something before, but it never lasted more than a few minutes. You know, when the algorithm started showing it to people and they didn't know what they're getting into, I guess. So that was crazy. We had a few hilarious moments. The pride of Mrs. Mecha on completing a leg is just great.
You know how long it's taken me to get back to this robot?
Can we see the leg? Are you guys asking me to tell my wife to show a little leg? Is that what's happening here? That got awkward. Some entertaining moments. My wife stopped by and hung out for a little bit, and it was a excellent stream. So you don't want to miss our streams in the future. Every Saturday night, 8:30 Eastern time. Usually I'm working on something. Lately it's been the PG GPO1, hopefully done soon. And stop by. We give away stuff, chat. It's usually a good time. What else is new? Next up, so we've been working on condensing some of the shelves. I posted a picture about this earlier in the week. Trying to get rid of that dead space between shelves. I actually ordered some extra shelving that will hopefully come in the next few weeks, maybe, to help further make use of the space that we have. We're just starting to fill things up, which is great. And it's going to be especially important because we have a massive, absolutely massive set of restocks coming, probably late March and then late April. It could be like early April, early May. It's really hard to tell. And I don't know if we're going to get everything in, but to put it in perspective, what I'm expecting late April, early May is on order of maybe 2 to 2.5 times what I got last summer, which was that video I did of that massive restock we got during the summer. And so we're looking at like 8 to 10 pallets maybe worth of stuff if it were to all show up at once. I'm kind of hoping it doesn't all show up at once, because that will definitely be a lot of work to break all that stuff down. But there's a ton of awesome stuff coming, over 100 different kits and decals and all that stuff. So really looking forward to those restocks, as I'm sure most of you are as well, because there's going to be a lot of stuff in there people have been asking about. Which also kind of brings me to the one other thing I wanted to talk about, especially where I'm seeing a lot of comments about this out there. One of the things people are constantly, the comments on a restock video is like, you call that restocks? Everything's out of stock. I have some empathy for you with that, because a lot of stuff has been out of stock. But here's the deal. Here's the situation with the world right now. Bandai has been trying to keep up with an increase in global demand due to lockdowns. A lot of people found the hobby. The hobby's expanded dramatically in a very short period of time, relatively speaking, and production capacity just can't keep up. Add to that things like that ship that went down and some other stuff like that that's further making supply issues more difficult. It's just hard for them to keep up. Compound that again by kits are made in batches. They're going to make certain kits and then put them out there. Things are going to go out of stock. They're going to go out of stock for an extended period of time sometimes. It's kind of been the state of things, but especially right now. So if there's a kit that you see that you know you must have, you probably should grab it when you get the chance. You got to balance that with things will come back around again, and having massive backlogs isn't necessarily the healthiest thing for your space and for your wallet. But you got to kind of trade off how likely a kit is to come back in stock again with how badly you want it, because sometimes kits take a year or more to come back around. So wanted to kind of throw that out there so I can clip this piece and put it out there to the world and hopefully help educate people. it's coming back. Things will be getting better. I think they're working on capacity. They must be. They must be anticipating an uptick in permanent demand here, and it'll all stabilize eventually. Although talking about those restocks, let's talk about what we actually got in this week for restocks. Some cool stuff. Start off with the high grade Penelope. We got a few of these in. We got this high grade Getter Dragon in. I've seen these around. We finally got some. It's one of those super robot animes like Mazinger. Same line of kits, I believe. And then finally, for the big boxes at least, we got some MG Barbatos in. We either just ran out of stock or are about to run out of stock as these come in. So the timing was kind of perfect, and hopefully that lasts us for a little while. I'm not sure when the next big restock will be. Smaller kits, some other popular ones. High grade GM Cold Districts type. This was popular last time we had it. Pretty cool kit. And then we got a bunch of Zaku's in. We've had this one in stock. We were either just ran out or about to run out. So we got those in, the 234 there. That's a really relatively recent kit. And then we got much older, the Zaku 2 FS. This is the Garma Zabi. I think I had this in a restock video a few months ago maybe. The Zaku 1, not quite as old, but pretty cool. And then the Gundam the Origin Zaku 1. So I bet this one will be the more popular of the two. That rifle looks pretty awesome. Kind of want to build it just for that. So that's pretty cool. We also got a limited God Hand restock in. So we got the God Hand Ultimate Nippers back in stock again. So if you need those, we've got them again for at least a little while. And we also added new this week. We've got God Hand paintbrushes here, just a few of them. If you've ever used one, post down in the comments below. I'd be curious what your opinion is of them. Their prices, just like their nippers, are much higher than going to your local art supply store and buying a cheap brush. But God Hand's known for having a higher level of quality. I have a feeling that these brushes are probably a lot better than your typical cheap brush. Just curious what people's opinion is on where that value stacks up. But if you're into hand painting, it might be worth taking a look at. So that's restocks this week. So let's move on to Q&A. Got, I think, 3 questions this week. Some good questions, actually. So the first one from MJRL Hobby Stuff Q&A. Nick, what is your favorite non-Gundam franchise that has model kits associated with it, i.e. Evangelion, Pacific Rim, Ultraman, Mazinger, etc.? Those are my favorites. So none of those actually. I think my favorite non-Gundam franchise that has kits would be Transformers. I built the Flame Toys Optimus. I think it's pretty cool. I was really into Transformers as a kid. I had tons of the toys back when I was a kid. The old school stuff. I've got a few new in box that are prized part of my collection. And yeah, so Transformers were big, and that stuff's pretty cool. Next up, Carlos Moreno asks, hello, Nick. I was wondering what prepared you into running your own business. This is a great question. I don't know if I have a very succinct answer to this, but I feel like the summation of my life's experiences have kind of built up to the moment that I'm at now. On one hand, there's just my life in karate, and I think karate has built into me a resilience to both failure, because when you're training, it's ultimately you're failing a lot, you're making mistakes, and you're correcting those mistakes and just working through that, as well as with dealing with adversity. When I've been competing on a high level, when you're competing internationally, things kind of suck. It hurts. People are hitting you. It's full contact. Some of the bell tests I've had where I had to fight 30 or 40 people basically back to back, again, full contact, it kind of sucks. And when you get used to dealing with that, most other things sucking, it's like, well, someone's not trying to kick me. Well, this can't be that bad. So that's one aspect of it. And then The other side, I think, has just been a series of opportunities to try to be a leader, so to speak. I think that would really start with my attempts at running gaming guilds and clans and stuff like that, starting way back in my StarCraft days to leading clans in a MUD, multi-user dungeon that I used to play when I was in high school. That's basically like an MMORPG text game. For those of you who are not aware, kind of making myself seem old here. It wasn't that long ago. And things like that. And then some other organizations I've been able to be involved in that have kind of taught me some leadership skills. And then finally, I think it was just trying stuff. Mecha Warehouse is technically the fourth business I started. I started with my consulting business, which was, I think, in some ways one of the easiest businesses to run, but the hardest to grow beyond just me, which is why I ultimately kind of abandoned it. I've got my dojo, which still runs today, which taught me a lot of service interaction stuff and just dealing with insurances and things like that. And then another kind of tech startup that kind of, we don't want to talk about that one now. But so it's just kind of a lot of stuff, just getting my hands dirty, trying different things. And I think the summation of all those experiences have added up to this. So if you're thinking about running your own business, Carlos, or anybody else who might be watching, the thing to think about isn't necessarily like, is there a thing I can go and do to be prepared, but to just seek out opportunity to stretch yourself, try things that you haven't tried, and be willing to take a few risks to get there, and just make sure that they're manageable risks as you go. And then the third question for today, 96786 Victor. Question, what is the cutoff time if I were to order and get it shipped out the same day or on the weekends too? This is a great question. We don't have a hard cutoff. There's no guaranteed you place an order, it's definitely going out today, or it's definitely going out tomorrow, or anything like that. We try to basically do things just as soon as we can. As a general rule though, our UPS pickup usually comes between 3 and 4 p.m. Eastern time, and our post office pickup usually shows up sometime between maybe 10:30 and 12:30 in the morning. So that's definitely a factor. If you place an order that's going to go out by post office after that pickup, it's definitely going at least the next day. If you place a UPS order in the day earlier than that, it could go out the same day. Some days are busier than others. Going into today, we've got almost 30 orders racked up. Dylan's coming in to pack orders for me. Presumably he might get to all those, but he might not get to them all before the cutoff. And so it all kind of depends. Weekends are extra interesting. If you place an order on Friday, you're pretty much guaranteed it will go out Friday or Monday. If you place an order Saturday, it's probably going out Monday, and later in the day, Saturday into Sunday, it might go out Tuesday, just because of the number of orders we get over the weekend, and needing to figure out how to deal with that. And it's tough because the one thing that I have to balance as I try to figure out how to keep up this level of service as we get more orders is that some days are busier than others. I could have a day where we get 100 orders. I could have a day when we get 10 orders, and to pay someone to come in guaranteed for that time slot to pack orders doesn't always necessarily make sense to do that. So it's kind of this balancing act of trying to make sure that we have the capacity, but without going so over in capacity that we end up having to shut down because we can't afford it. So hopefully that kind of answers your question. It's not a hard and fast rule. I think if you really want it to go out the same day, or you want a chance at it, it's got to be sometime in the morning. But it really depends. If it's a lighter day, it might go out the same day, or it might go out the next day. And again, really kind of depends on the day, what's going on, and how many orders we get. And I think that's all we got for questions. So it looks like today will be a little bit shorter of a video, which is okay. And I almost forgot. If you have a question, please post it down in the comments below. I would love to answer your questions. So ask me anything. Ask about Mecha Warehouse, myself, etc. I would love to hear from you. Thank you all for watching, and hopefully see you next time. Later.